My mother-in-law convinced my wife to convince me to buy their old house so we could live next to them. It's the worst decision I've ever made, and she thinks I don't know about the spare key she has. So, my wife is split 50-50 between having her head deep in her mother's rear and not wanting anything to do with her. It's complicated. My relationship with my mother-in-law was always awkward. She didn't want her precious daughter to leave home and build her own family, so she always tried to shackle my wife as close to her as possible and used every trick up her sleeve to achieve exactly that. From fake illnesses to emotional manipulations to last-second, unnoticed vacations we were forced to go on, my wife, until now, never grasped that what her mother was doing was wrong. Around 6 months ago, my mother-in-law and father-in-law bought a new house, a smaller one, as they didn't need all that space at their old home. At first, I personally wasn't interested in that house, but somehow my mother-in-law convinced my wife to convince me to buy the house from them, so we could buy it cheaply and have one less worry. I was completely against the purchase. It was incredibly close to their new home, like a 30-minute walking distance, and the amount they asked for, that being $450K, was not justified for the state the house was in. Long story short, my wife got extremely upset with me for not wanting the house, and I just gave up and said yes, so yay, we own a house now. For information, we got the keys, documents, and everything is on paper. Nothing is in their name anymore, it's all on us now. For the past few months of us moving in, renovating a bit here and there, all seemed well. They never came to visit, and if anything, we would be the ones to visit them. The house was fine after some work, but there's still a lot to fix. But then I started noticing some strange things regarding the house. Whenever we are gone for more than 8+ hours or a few days and then return to the house, it seems like someone has been inside. I could have sworn some of my stuff was moved. A few times it smelled like gas, as if I left something running in the kitchen, and the sink in one of the bathrooms was wet, even though I always wipe it dry after using it. Even my wife found it odd, and after the gas incident, she was alarmed. So I figured my mother-in-law probably still had a key that we didn't know about and was snooping around. I bought 2 cheap cameras and installed them so I could see the entrance and the living room, as those two are connected. As someone suggested, I also changed out the locks by buying completely new, secure doors and having them changed, as well as installing new window security since all of those were old. 2 days after everything was changed, I got a text from my mother-in-law saying that I'm an evil person trying to destroy everything she loves, and that she wants the house back from us because she isn't tolerating how we are treating her old property. I asked her where this came from all of a sudden, and her answer was, "You're destroying our old home." The door was a precious memento, and we shouldn't have changed it without asking her first. I told her the house was no longer hers and we could do whatever we wanted. I didn't hear back from her until now. She now wants her house back because we're apparently not fit to be homeowners. She is offering us back $430K of the $450K, as they already spent $20K, and wants everything back. I told her to go eat grass and that the home is now ours. I already had the police at my door. Can you imagine what it looked like for me to explain to them that this house was legally mine? They laughed. And the worst? My wife says to just get the old door back. I don't understand my mother-in-law, and I'm okay with that, but I don't get how my wife can be so deep in her BS. If it were up to me, I would go no contact and leave it at that, but my wife is just, well, glued to her. I can't even enjoy marriage anymore. It doesn't feel like her and me, it feels like her, me, and her insane mother. My father-in-law is alright. Just a normal person, most of the time fed up with my mother-in-law's BS too, but he can't be bothered to actually hold her back. I'm stressed, angry, and really disappointed. Advice, please. Up in the comments. Counseling is up next. If that doesn't work, I don't see a long, healthy future either. As heartbreaking as it is for me to type this out, I don't see myself living like this. I don't want to be in confrontation mode all my life just because one person can't let go. I guess, in truth, a part of me has already decided. The entire last year was just strange. I didn't imagine marriage working this way. Since my mother-in-law got her claws back into my wife and moved closer to her, everything changed, and I can feel the shift in behavior. I'm giving myself another year with counseling and a lot of work, but if I don't see actual change or just BS changes from my wife, then I will leave. I'm just glad I got a proper marriage agreement/contract and that I didn't cave on that. I'm not considering children right now. To be completely honest, after last year in general, I don't think a child would be a good idea at all. My wife would just hand it over to her mother. I'm looking up counseling options. The door is in the basement. I could change the locks and reinstall it, but that alone would be too much of a win for her. I will drop the door off at her house, that's a good idea. Update 1. So quite a lot has happened since yesterday. I stopped answering most comments, as I was just taking in everyone's advice, thoughts, and experiences. First, some info again, some people were concerned that dropping off the door would mean she could copy the keys. Not possible, as both the door and locks were replaced with high security keys. I know a locksmith could still duplicate them, but that would take some time. Some were worried about birth control. Don't worry, I can't even think of bedroom intimacy right now. Regarding security, no, I did not catch my mother-in-law on camera. I installed them in conjunction with the change of the door and locks, and I don't see a point in spending money on more cameras, Ring doorbells, etc. Some asked if my mother-in-law had more children. Nope, single child. I paid the entire $450K. My wife didn't pay for the house, renovations, nothing. She bounces from one job to another, trying to find something fitting. This has always been the case. I don't mind supporting her, but I feel a bit leeched off sometimes. Now to the actual update. I called my father-in-law and asked him if he would meet me for a coffee because I wanted to talk, and bless him, he did exactly that. We sat down, and I asked him to please just listen and not interrupt. I must have talked for close to 2 hours. This man sipped his coffee, listened, sighed, and said the following in short. My mother-in-law's plan was to sell us the house, rebuy it, making us literally homeless, so we couldn't say no to her offer to live with her and her husband. My father-in-law did try to hold my mother-in-law back but failed. He was extremely upset about the police call, upset about only offering $430K back, and upset in general that she's going this far to shackle her daughter. His offer and advice, I should take my mother-in-law's $430K offer. Then we will set up a legally binding contract between my father-in-law and myself. He will give me the $20K plus what I put into renovations, etc., without my mother-in-law knowing, which would bring me close to $500K. He told me to pack it up and just leave after a stern talk with my wife. She won't wake up if it's me versus my mother-in-law as long as one of us is in close proximity. He looked sad and upset. We hugged at the end, and he told me not to be too saddened by all of this. Sometimes we need to make hard decisions, and I would regret it if I didn't do this. There was more talk, obviously, but this is the short and interesting part. Back home, I talked with my wife, in a calm tone and manner. She didn't see any evil from her mother, said her mother needs a lot of attention and love like most elderly ladies, and often she sounds meaner than she actually is, but that she only wants the best for us. Us? No, she only cares what's best for her and her own intentions. We argued a bit back and forth, and my wife is 100% behind her mother. She said I should get some therapy to get out of the obsession I have with demonizing her mother. I stood up, left, and slept at a friend's that night. I offered couples and individual counseling. It was denied. Apparently, I'm the only one that needs special attention, as she called it. And I guess that's exactly what I need, special attention, by myself, for myself. I already messaged my father-in-law. It's not worth it. Thank you everyone. Thank you for taking the time to help out and listen to someone you don't know. I might take this homeless opportunity and money to get out a bit, explore, and breathe freely for once. Up in the comments. Oh, believe me, I told my wife what my mother-in-law was planning. She denied it and said I was so deep in my coup of demonizing her mother that I was the one needing therapy. We have a pretty tight-knit prenup that specifies no assets or property will be split unless children are involved. She gets what is hers and what she owns, which isn't a lot, and I know this sounds harsh, but this house, for example, is now completely mine. I paid for everything, and she didn't contribute a cent. It's all on paper that this is all on me. So as long as no children or pregnancy are involved, everyone keeps what is theirs. Also note, we do not live in the US, so laws, etc., will be different. I'm not abandoning the house, the homeless part was for when everything is over. As of right now, I'm in the house, alone. Trust me, I'm not going to let this go easily. After reading all the comments, I am already skeptical of my father-in-law too. I've got some ideas up my sleeve. I will get my money back, the house is not going to be sold back to them. A good friend of mine, his wife is an attorney, and we're already messaging back and forth. She is hooking me up with people for everything from lawyers to contracts. Believe me, I wasted enough time, resources, and money. I won't do this again. I went from sad to angry to determined. I will get this done properly. Update 2. Hello, it's been 4 months now since I came here to ask for advice, maybe some of you still remember what it was about. Well, a lot has happened. As you know, my father-in-law offered to repay me behind his wife's back. At first, I thought to just take this offer and move on, but after reading what some of you wrote about how it sounded too good to be true and why I should give in, I refused. I don't want this to get too long, so here is what happened in the past 4 months. I kicked my wife out, and she's now back at her mother's. I still own the house and got all the repairs and changes done. Since then, I've been renting it out. I gave her back her old precious memento door. My ex-mother-in-law got handcuffed and had a nice drive around in the back of a police car after she tried to get physical with the new house tenants, claiming it was her house. Just 2 weeks ago, my ex-wife tried to contact me, saying she can't keep living with her mother, but she doesn't have enough income to live on her own. Not my problem. I have been traveling a lot ever since I got everything sorted out. Went to northern and southern Germany, met tons of nice people, and saw some beautiful remote places. All in all, life after kicking out my then wife has been good. I never realized how shackled my thoughts and actions were while being with her after we moved closer to her parents. I now live in a nice 2.5-room apartment near a small city. I enjoy myself and take everything slowly, focusing on work, myself, and just relaxing for once. You wouldn't believe how happy I am that we never had children together. Thank you.